Unique Spiritual Experiment on Collective Consciousness, Audio 7. The Supreme Spiritual Endeavors of this Era. Gurudev Pandit Sri Ram Sharma Acharya had identified Asta Sankat, the crisis of faith, as the root cause of all evils, ailments, and adversities of our times, and referred it as a universal giant that cannot be fought by the gross efforts alone. The devil influence of this giant has captured every horizon of life, from environment to the delicate cores of people's thoughts, emotions, and inner sentiments. The origin of the Ashta Sankat, being deep-rooted in the mental and emotional cores, could be destroyed only by the spiritual refinement of mind and illuminations of the intrinsic faith and the inner self. The supreme power of Gayatri is said to have descended on the earth for this purpose. Gurudev attained the divine radiance of Gayatri in his soul. The Rishi of our times accomplished consecrating it as Yug Shakti by propagating the deep knowledge and guiding the super science of Gayatri and Yagya among the masses all his life. The Pragya Purusharan initiated by him in the 1980 was the first ever collective spiritual sadhana of the modern age. Angelic vision saw the last 12 years of the change of millennium as most testing for the transition of the present era and guided the Yug Sandhi Mahapurush Charan to counter the adversities. This spiritual experiment of global impact began from the Ashwin Navratri in the month of November of 1988, and the Vasant Panchami day in January of 2001 was set to commemorate its completion, or Mahapurnahuti. Commenting on the long-term effects of this collective spiritual endeavor, Gurudev writes, the Yug Sandhi Mahapurush Charan is the greatest dharma anushtan of this era. Its divine fruits will be viable for long time in future. The participants of this collective sadhana would attain unique inner strength and enlightened personalities. The emergence of afflatus and divine elements in the sublime environment will excel the welfare of all beings. The flow of Mahapran educed thereby will influence people across the globe and thus create the ideal ambience for glorious growth and all-round development of the world peace, joy, and prudence. The sadhaks of the Mahapurush Charan were assigned three major duties. The first, wholehearted participation in the altruist activities of social reform and reconstruction. Second, expanding the Vichar Kranti Abhiyan by refining their own thinking and enlightening the masses. Third, collective Gayatri meditation and Gayatri Japa for purification of the subliminal environment of life. All the above activities were centrally conducted and coordinated from Shantikunj. Sadhaks distributed across the globe sincerely transacted the assigned duties as per the inspirations and training received here as per the adept guidance offered by the publication of the Gayatri Parivar Yug Nirman Yojana and the practical advice of the experienced sadhaks, representatives of the center. The mission's ongoing projects of social and national reconstruction ranging from the mass education, elimination of superstitious and untoward customs, improvement of health, etc., to reformation and refinement of the psychological and spiritual domains of people's lives have gained remarkable momentum during the period 1988 to 2000 of the Yug Sandhi Mahapurush Charan. The Gayatri Parivar is also offering specific training programs of moral education, personality development, self-reliant education, and self-employment schemes for rural areas. In addition, it is making constructive contribution in several non-government and government projects of nation building. Monumental sagacious writing over 3,200 books of Pandit Sri Ram Sharma Acharya on wide-ranging topics concerning almost all facets of life is truly an eminent asset for the human society. Many of these and some other publications and magazines of the mission are being translated and published in several other languages. This expansion of Yug Sahitya has also become rapid and manifold in the above period. Series of Deep Yagyas and Gyan Yagyas organized in this period in large number of villages, towns and cities in different parts of the country and in several cities abroad have boosted the revolutionary cascade of purification of thoughts and righteous orientations of attitude among the masses under the Vichar Kranti Abhiyan. The 3-month-long training program of Yug Shilpi Sadhana, running throughout the year at Shantikunj, has produced many talented volunteers who would adeptly continue this process with greater zeal and motivation. After the Mahaprayan of Gurudev on Gayatri Jayanti in June 1990, the Shraddhanjali Samaroh, Sapat Samaroh, and the series of 27 Ashwamekh Yagyas of the Dev Sanskriti Digvijay Abhiyan for the resurrection and expansion of the Rishi culture in true light of science and spirituality were accomplished by the divine grace of His subliminal protection and under the auspicious presence of guidance of Mataji. These grand events indeed mobilized the noble cause of the mission, leading to the nascence of the bright era against all odds. The message of the new era had reached worldwide via these enlightened mass movements of spiritual and cultural arousal. Vandaniya Mataji too joined Gurudev in the sublime realms of divinity after renouncing the seat of physical body in September 1994. The mission has continued its growth by the angelic blessings of the Guru Satta since then. 400 Sanskar Mahotsav have been organized, have further helped the virtuous values of the Indian culture reach about 40 million men and women in different villages, towns, cities of the nation with motivating awareness. Voluntary support of thousands of devoted non-resident Indians, missions activities have propagated in about 80 countries abroad, thus forming the old world Gayatri Parivar. This has indeed been an epoch-making expansion of the Vichar Kranti Abhiyan. The third and the strongest aspect of the Yug Sandhi Mahapurush churn was the collective endeavor of dedicated Gayatri sadhanas and prayers for the purification of the subtle world and arousal of divinity hidden in mankind to create an ambience of glory on the earth. The initial target of 24 crore japs of Gayatri mantra per day might appear rather ambitious and hard to be achieved. However, this was effectively accomplished with the collective participation of over 24 lakh sadhaks who used to perform japa and Gayatri meditation for about 10 minutes simultaneously during a fixed time interval around sunrise every day. The number of sadhaks continued to increase every year. 24 crore Gayatri mantra japs are being offered every year at Shantikunj alone. The regular collective japs by over 24 lakh sadhaks performed at the 2,400 Shakti Peeths and 24,000 Pragya Sanstans spread all over the world indeed makes this number huge enough to vibrate the cosmic flow of Pran and the collective consciousness. The collective prayer programs on Sundays organized at these local centers consist of mental prayer and meditation, chanting of Gayatri Chalisa and Gayatri Stavan, and vocal jap of Gayatri Mantra with Deep Yagyas. This is followed by singing of inspirational devotional song and satsang and swadhyay. The 9 days sadhana satras of spiritual refinement and personality development are regular features of Shantikunj's schedule. These also involve performance of Lagu Anushtan of Gayatri at this Siddhatirth. The spiritually charged atmosphere of this ashram and the continuous flow of the vibrations of the Gayatri mantra in its subtle ambience lend supermental support in sadhak's spiritual progress. The participation in these satras have also augmented remarkably in the Mahapurush Charan period. The enlightened sadhaks associated with the mission since long time also perform at least one Lagu Anushtan every year at this sacred Gayatri Tirtha. All the participants of the Sadhana Satra have contributed in gigantic japa yagyas of this Mahapurush Charan. Meditation on rising sun is an integral part of these japa sadhanas to enable illuminations of the sadhak's inner self and the collective consciousness by the eternal flow of the Mahapran of Savita. Milestones of Mahapurnahuti. The collective japas of the Gayatri Mantra in the Yug Sindhi Mahapurush Charan has reached the magnificent 240 billion japs per day towards its later part. The Mahapurnahuti completion of this unique spiritual experiment was commemorated in 5 phases involving eminent sadhanas, yagyas, focused collective prayers, and mass awareness programs at grassroots level. The Ardha Purnahuti of this Mahapurush Charan was organized at Avalkheda village of Agra district in November 1995. Over 40 lakh people had marked their presence in this Ashwamedh Yajna, which inspired refinement of mental tendencies and eradication of social evils in a significant way. In the second phase year, 1999 was observed as a sadhana varsh. Its commencement on the Vasant Panchami day wrote a new chapter in modern history, marking a 24-hour Akhanda continuous Gayatri Jap followed by collective prayers for the bright future for all, performed simultaneously at more than 24,000 centers of the Gayatri Parivar with the participation of over 1 million sadhaks. Apart from the regular sadhana of the Mahapurush Charan during this year, 108 special Gayatri Japas were devoted by each sadhak every day solely as a prayer for global peace and thy aegis against wars, natural calamities, and growing adversities. Special ahutis with collective chanting of selected Vedic mantra were sacrificed in the daily yajnas for this purpose. The next phase began on 3rd October 1999, together with the Pulse Polio Day. Mass prayers of all religion was organized by the Gayatri Parivar on this day, with participation of people from different cults and faiths to generate public awareness for health. Healthy body and happy mind was the focus of these prayers. As per the reports from the Shakti Peeths and other local centers, a minimum of 1 crore people offered their prayers and participated in the concluding Deep Yajnas that day. Other religious communities and organizations had also collaborated at many places to make this rare event of human religion a grand success. Similar was the case of the collective prayers for illumination of mind and bright future for all, organized worldwide with Deep Yajnas on the Vasant Parva in February 2000. Nationwide Tirtha Yajnas of the villages and towns marked the later half of the third phase. Grand stirring and enlightenment of mass mentality was achieved by the way of the large number of Deep Yajnas, exhibitions, inspiring discourses, and educative conferences organized by the groups of missions talented volunteers. These dedicated and experienced sadhaks went with the holy kalash in different parts of the country, covering almost every state at the level of village, town, district, and divisions. 108 grand Deep Yajnas at divisional or state level were performed at the last sojourns of the yatra to channelize the mass enthusiasm and motivation of talents towards the development of educated families, cultured society, and progressive nation. Few such yatras were also arranged in the foreign land. This phase concluded with the confluence of the yatras at Shantikunj on Gayatri Jayanti, June 2000. A glorious Vibhuti Gyan Yajna was organized on 8 October 2000 in the national capital during the fourth phase. This was indeed a rare congregation at the Nehru Stadium, New Delhi, that witnessed eminent talents from all walks of life pledging for their constructive support participation in the Yug Nirman Yojana in the presence of intellectuals and the dignitaries and representatives from other voluntary and religious organizations, government, and media. The all-world Gayatri Parivar had also mobilized sevenfold reconstructing revolutionary projects in the fields of sadhana, education, health, self-reliance, environmental safety and purification, women's welfare, and social reformation and refinement in this phase. The foundation of the Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya aimed at resurrecting the globally reputed ancient universities like Takshashila and Nalanda is another milestone of the mission of the Renaissance of the divine culture. The fourth phase concluded with the grand Srijan Sankalp Mahayagya at Haridwar. Over 5 million sadhaks from the world over had participated in this millennium Mani Purusha Mega Yajna of 1551 kundas on the holy banks of the Ganges. The glory of the grandeur, discipline, organization, and arrangements of this spectacular yajna and the accompanying events of conference, discourses, exhibitions, and deep yajnas is indeed beyond description in words. All those who participated or witnessed this historic dharma anushtan or its preparation experienced the divine force behind it. The spiritual power of the aroused collective consciousness of the devotees was truly miraculous. The cherubic inspiration of the sublime vibrations of this glorious Mahayagya echoed in every wind of Haridwar, the Himalayas and beyond. These, together with the pristine illuminations of the majestic Deep and Gyan Yagyas performed with the worldwide collective prayer experiment in the last phase, have boosted the confidence of the masses in materialization of the Dai dream and determination that sparked the Yuk Sandhi Mahapurush Charan. As the spiritual minds and visionaries can see it, the purification of the subliminal environment has begun in cosmic dimensions, its manifestation in the visible world and culmination in the dawn of the new age of truth, peace and happiness is a certainty that is going to be realized by all of us as we move ahead in the 21st century. Timely preparations for the same and dedicated participation in the collective endeavors and constructive movements emerge from the Yuk Sandhi Mahapurush Charan is the call of today, guiding us to glorify our generation in the annals of history as among the architects of the new bright era.